Okay, let's start at the beginning. The assumption is that you're familiar with using LaTeX on an OS 10 machine and that you're using TeXShop. All right. So what I want to do is go to the Finder, and within the Finder, I want to select the Go menu, and I want to go to a folder. All right. And the folder I want to go to, the tilde/library/. The tilde is indicating your user account. Library is the library within your user account. So I want to go to that folder. I'm just going to go there. And what I want to do is I want to look for a folder there that says TeXShop. And I see that right over here. Right, I'm going to double click on TeXShop. And within the TeXShop folder, I want to go to Engines. All right, now I notice it's got things in there. And I wouldn't worry about what's in there right now. Most likely in your account, you're really interested in what's in the inactive folder, because there's some inactive things you want to activate. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go to the inactive folder and look for Sage. All right, now I see this Sage over here, and the first thing I want to do is open up this About Sage PDF. All right, so your interest now is using TeXShop with Sage. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to need to go to the sagemath.org website. All right, you need to go there. Right, so I'm here now. You look at the screen. What I want to do is download. Right now, I'm at version 9.4. You click on this download thing. I'm in North America. I'm closest to MIT. I click on this. I'm running an OS 10 computer. And what I want to do is I'm running an Intel. So I click this over here. That's a little bit confusing over here. I would strongly suggest you go to GitHub. And in GitHub, I wouldn't do the first one. I'd do the second one over here. We just installed the Sage 9.4. When you do that, let me just click on that for you. Sage Math 9.4, you click on this, install the 9.4 package, and there's also some related files with that you install after that. All right, so install that. You have to install it. That's the first thing. Again, it's not the only thing, it's the first thing. You need to install Sage. Let me go back over here, and we'll talk about this next step. After you installed Sage, you need to install the engine. All right. So what does it say? To use Sage, drag the Sage engine file in the folder. Well, let's go back to that folder now. So what I'm going to do is, go back to the Finder, and let me just do that again for you. Go, recent folders. No, let's go folder. And what does it say? It says Library, TeXShop. Whoops. TeXShop engines, right? Again, I want to point out I just did this right over here. Okay, I'm there now. What does it say? You'll see a folder in there that says, it's the folder of active engines. The step needs to only once. When you first install Sage, again, the assumption is you've already installed Sage now. What you're going to be doing is, I would strongly suggest you read through this, by the way, but you need to do something. And what do you need to do? The Sage program needs something, and what it needs is that engine. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the inactive one. It's right over here. And there's a lot of inactive things over here, but my concentration is on the Sage. So again, let me repeat this. We went to this folder over here. Right. This is your library, TeXShop engines. And what we're doing is we're looking at the inactive one. Right. And within the inactive one, we're going to the Sage folder. All right. Now, we've gone there before to get the file about Sage PDF. That's what we're reading over here. Now, what I want to do is I want to take that Sage engine, this file here, right, and we need to make that active. Now, granted, this file was updated October 7, 2021. Right, now if you go back, I'm just going to go back in the folder. They want me to put it in the engines here. Now I notice I got one over here. It says August 31st, 2018. Well, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to move it to the trash. And I want to paste in what I just copied. All right, let me review that with you. Inactive, Sage. And what I did was I looked for that Sage engine, and I copied it. How do you do that? Command-C. If you had Command-C, or you go to the menu, and hit Command C, copy Sage Engine, and then what I do, I just hit the back arrow, and I'm putting it into the engine folder. Now, of course, that's the most current one now, Sage Engine. So that's done. We got that part done, all right? So we got that done. The next thing is, they say it's a tricky step. Let's read it. It says, one tricky step is to find the SageTeX folder in the Sage application and copy it to a location where tech can find it. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go to the next page. It wants me to go back to this over here. This may not be available to you, all right? Now, someone says, what do you mean it may not be available to you? You may not have the folder. But I wanted to show you again. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do this now. And let me, whoops, I'm in the wrong menu here, aren't I? I want to go back to my Finder. And I want to go to a folder. Now, the folder you're going to be going to is the library again. All right? I'm going to back up. And I want to go to the library again. So I'm in the library. I know this is very confusing for people not used to navigating these invisible folders, by the way. And I'm looking for text TeXMF. Now, I have it. You may not have it. You may have to create that. You may have to create that folder. If you create the folder, that's fine. Just create it. I have it. It's here. All right. Now, if you double-click on that, within that folder is another folder called Tech. You may have to create that folder too. All right, so let me remind you, you got to go back to library. If this folder's not there, you need to create it. If this folder's not there, you need to create it. If this folder's not there, you need to create it. Let me just go backwards here. This is the library. I have that folder already. You may not. Create it if you don't. I'm going to double click it. Within that is Tech. I only have a resume class in there at this point. All right, what I need to do is I'm going to create another folder called LaTeX. All right, so I'm going to create a folder. Let's see, new folder. And I'm going to call that folder LaTeX. Okay, I just did that. All right, now someone says, what are you going to do now? Well, I got to follow this instruction here. And so what we really need to do is we need to go back to the library thing. Let me go backwards. I know this is very confusing. Let me do a new window. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. And let me go folder again. I don't want to confuse too many people. It's really confusing. For a lot of people it is. So let's go to folder and let's go back to library. All right. So what I'm going to do is go back to TeXShop. Right. Engines. Remember, we just put this thing in over here, the Sage engine. That's now active to LaTeX. LaTeX can now access Sage. All right. So it was last updated when making this video, October 7, 2021. Let's go to the inactive one. Right now, the inactive one's over here. I'm going to go to Sage again. And they said I need to pay careful attention to this Sage and LaTeX folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it. All right, let's do that. I'm going to copy that folder. Now, what I got to do is I got to put that in a place where Sage can find it. It's inactive now. And someone says, where do you put that? And let's talk about that. All right, so what are we going to do over here? We're going back to this folder over here now. So let me go backwards. You know what I'm going to do? I'll do that, I'll go to that folder again. So we get totally, you don't have to go backward, just go to the folder. So let's go to that folder again. So what are we doing over here? Go to folder. And what folder are we going to? Library. And what are we going to do too? I'm just looking this over here. So I want to go TeXMF. That's right here. And again, if they're not there, you have to create them. Tech. And then go to LaTeX. And what am I going to do? I'm going to actually do a copy paste. Now, what they suggest you do is instead is, to do something different. but that's fine. You can do what you want to do. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be copying this thing over here, right? And I want to put it into this folder here. Now they say do this by dragging and holding the Option key. You can do that. So let me show you that. I'm going to drag this thing holding the Option key. And I got that. All right, I just did that. All right. So I'm going to say right now, we're pretty much good to go. All right. And granted, I realize for something it's kind of hard to follow. And what I want to do is, I just want to try something. All right, I'm going to close this out. And what I'm going to do over here is just try something simple. So let's take a look here. So let's it says SageTeX.tech. I'm going to double click on that. And I got a file over here. Now, granted, it opened up. I'm seeing that. And again, the expectation is you're familiar with using TeXShop and LaTeX. All right, so let me just typeset. I'll do that now. Just typesetting the document. It's running Sage now. I think you see that. Please wait a moment. Remember, Sage needs to be installed. This is an older machine, though. It's a little bit slow. It's working now. Sure is slow, huh? Again, it's typesetting this document over here, which is making some computations. Pretty simple to do. It's building things now. Again, it's a little bit slow. It eventually does it. Now, what I suggest to do is this is just really a basic document here. You may want to try to change things. Like let's put this in over here. I don't know. I'll put down 3 squared. And over here, I'll put down the actual command, which is 3 squared. And let's run it again. I'm going to typeset again. Again, Sage is running now. And you see it said it just changed that, right? So it changed it, it did computation. So let's go back and review that. And what are you reviewing over here? This over here, 3 squared equals, that's me typesetting. And then the Sage command is, 3 squared. I did that. And again, you can change this one over here. Let's do that. I'll change it to, I don't know, maybe 5 to the 9th power. And over here, I want to change this to 5 to the 9th power. And this is what Sage is going to be computing, 5 to the 9th power. And let's do it again. And again, we're just playing around. That's all we're doing. What am I expecting to see a change over here? 5 to the 9th equals 5 to the 9th over here. All right, we did it. All right, let's play around with the plot function. I'm seeing that. The next line of code over here says, Sage plot. The width should be 4 inches. Pretty simple, by the way. And I want to plot x times sine 30x between -1 and 1. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change it to -1.5 to 1.5. And I'm going to change it to 25x. I'll make it 10x. And I'm going to change this to x squared. And let's see what happens. All right. Again, I'm going to typeset again. And I notice over here, I got to change this over here. We like to plot. I'm going to put down x squared. And that's going to be sine. I'm going to use my notation I like to use. Left and 10x, I think I said, right? And let's typeset. Let's see how I did there. Make a mistake. It'll come up. I made a mistake over here. Well, you know what? You notice how much faster that was? Because I really didn't change any Sage commands. All right, so we can plot things like that now. And we just plotted that. And again, you may want to play around with it. Go back over here. Let's say you don't like the graph as it's being displayed. Maybe you want to make it -1.1 to 1.1. It'll take longer now to do it. I'm going to typeset again. Sage is running again now. It has to compute that again. Again, my machine is really old. That's why it takes a quicker machine. Yeah, not better picture. Maybe I want to change that a little bit more. It's up to you what you want to do over here, but you can play around with this. It also can do an integration. All right, you notice I got that integration over here. I don't think I want to change that one over there. New page, go to the next page. All right, you notice it integrates it for me. All right. We can also perform a matrix calculation. Again, I want to point out the integrations over here, matrix calculation over here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do inverse, see what happens. Let's see if it can do that. All right. It's running it. Trying to get an inverse of that. Let me try again. You know what? I don't know if that's the inverse command. Let me try square. Kind of waiting for it to run, right? Yeah, there it goes. All right. That -1 threw it, by the way. I can't remember the inverse command for matrices. All right, next one's a matrix multiplication. You can change that too. Maybe I'll put a -1 here and a -4 there. And I'll put, I don't know. Let's see if I got that. Oh, you know, I'm not going to change that. It's kind of pointless. The last thing is a graph. What's that graph over here? This graph here. And a product of V and F. Yeah. So this is not a bad place to start. All right. What I mean by this is this file that's included. It's not a bad place to start. And learning that. All right. So let me review. All right. I'm going to close this out now. We played around with that. What do? We basically follow the instructions in this document over here. And where's this thing available? You got to get there. It's in that directory of inactive engines. So again, just looking over here, that there's a user account going down the list. It's over here in the inactive stuff. All right. Look for it. Follow the directions. We gave you a video walkthrough of that. Thank you so much for paying attention.